Okay, hello. Today I am going to be doing a lesson on MySQL and security within MySQL. That is creating users and giving them privileges and roles. So let's get into it. So this is the MySQL workbench. I'm going to be taking you through here, going into your server, being able to create a user with the username and password, then being able to grant them specific roles based on a schema or just overall, and then showing you how that all works. So we are going to want to log into our server, the localhost server, which you should have already set up. Um, so here I have two different schemas. Both have the exact same things within them. It's just a bunch of information on students. And so what I want to do here is create a new user in which he can access the My Database and he can, select the database and print that out. But on the other database, he can do that, but he can't drop any of the tables. Well, in the My Database, he can. So let's do that. So if you come over next to schemas, administration, you can see these different tabs. We want to focus on management and specifically users and privileges. So when you come into users and privileges, you're going to see these users. So the first one is Devin. Now, this is just me. This is, my name. This is the local host. I am given all the roles and all the privileges over here. And I have my own password and whatnot. Now, there's these default MySQL and root users. Don't mess with those. They just come with MySQL. What we want to focus on is these three buttons underneath the user accounts. So we have add account, delete, and refresh. We want to add an account. So when we hit add an account, this tab pops up, which it asks for the login name, which we can keep as new user, or we can say test user, whatever you want, a name, whatever. You can select different types of authentication. You can hash it. We'll just do standard for right now, as this is just a throwaway user. For a password, I'm just going to keep it simple. You can do whatever you want. So we'll go to the next tab. Don't hit apply yet. We'll do that at the end. So this account limits, it just sets parameters on within an hour how many things or actions within queries or updates or connections that a user can make within MySQL. If you want to play with these, you can. I'm going to move on to the roles. So roles within MySQL, these just group together privileges. You can have custom roles. You can have um, you can read through these if you want to. A database admin just has access to everything. Or you can, go around and you can see as I'm clicking on these privileges are getting ticked off because every single role has a different privilege to them. So I'm going to leave these as blank because I'm going to focus on the schema privileges. So these would be overall, privileges of, as it says, global privileges on the right of just everything within the server that they're connecting to. But I want to focus on these schema privileges. So we can add an entry and we can go to selected schema. So we go here, we can see the schemas that are within the server. And so I want to focus on two of these, which is the My Database. Here, I'm just going to give him every privilege that he can get within this database or schema. And I'm going to add another entry, and this one is going to be for the test schema. Which you can hit OK, and I'll just give him select. You can select. We'll hit apply. So now we have this test user who has his login, and he has his schema privileges. So now we can exit out of this instance and we can go back and we can create a new connection. So this connection will be to that user we just created. So connection name can be whatever you want again, but username has to be this new user, which we call test user. So we can hit OK. And then within test user, we put in that password that we created. So now we are connected. As you can see, when we go over to the schemas, we can see these two databases that were in the local hosts list of schemas. So now what should happen is we should be able to go and double click into my database, and we can do a select statement. We can select all from student. And so this is going to print out everything from student. But if we go over to test instead, and we run this, it'll print out. But we go over to my database and say we want to drop this student table. We go to drop table. Um, we get an error unrelated. But if we were to go over here to test and we were to go and drop, um, sorry, and we were to go and drop this table, it would be for the error of we're denied by the host. So our local host, which we were just in, denied our access to using this. So we got the privilege for them to select. That's why it printed out this statement. But we didn't have any other privileges, so it's going to keep, denying our privileges. So that's how you can use privileges in roles and creating users. So now, if we went back to this, main host, which is us, the local host to this server, um, and we go back to administration, and we go to users and privileges. We go back to that test user in schema privileges. We can go to test, um, and if we want to give him another privilege, so if we went to this drop privilege and we hit apply, there's a good chance we're still going to get that error, but it won't be the error from the local um, host. So we go back into the other user that we were just in, the one that we just created, and before it was giving us the error on test of we couldn't drop it because of the user powers. And now when we do this, it's just the error that we were getting before in the other my database because of some key constraint. But you can see now it is not a user restriction because we lifted that. We gave him that privilege. So now, if we wanted to drop this user, we no longer want this user in our database. We can go back to our administrator. We can go to here, users and privileges, and we can select our test user, and we can hit delete. So we delete this account permanently. We can once again go ahead and exit out, and we can go to test. We can try to log in here, and it's going to give us an error because we were removed from the server. So that's what I wanted to cover today, just creating users, how you can give them privileges within your server and databases. I hope this helped, and yeah, have a good day.